Hey guys, what is going on? This is Wrestlelamia, back with another episode. With Money in the Bank behind us, the WWE prepares for its next pay-per-view Backlash, which means you can be sure the WWE will be building up to it. Join us now as Wrestlelamia analyzes the 15th May edition of Friday Night Smackdown, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including how long The Undertaker's current WWE deal is, why the WWE sued Martha Hart, Tyson Fury wants Drew McIntyre, a WWE Hall of Famer retires, and more. As always, Wrestlelamia isn't going to recap the matches, but look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. The good. Turning lemons into lemonade. Sami Zayn's Intercontinental Championship reign got off to a good start, with Zayn playing the cowardly and highly annoying heel well. However, his rumored backstage heat and apparent decision to stay away from the WWE during the current health crisis made it imperative that WWE take the belt off of him. With the WWE needing to do anything it can to boost ratings, the Intercontinental Championship is a good way to boost things. Otis Mania continues. Tonight's episode of the Blue Brand served as further proof that Vince McMahon is big on Otis, beginning with his encounter with The Miz and Morrison and continuing into the main event where he teamed with Braun Strowman. Otis teasing a cash-in with his Money in the Bank briefcase. Building Bayley vs. Banks. Subtlety and long-term planning is rarely the WWE's strong suit, but tonight's SmackDown continued what's so far been a slow but steady build-up for the eventual split between BFFs Bayley and Banks. Inserting Charlotte Flair into the storyline was a clever way to play off of all three women's history together. The best line in the promo was Bayley telling Charlotte to go back to Raw and beat Liv Morgan over and over again. Elevating the Intercontinental title. One of the best points about tonight's Intercontinental Championship tournament was that wrestlers talked about how much they wanted the title, or announcers pointed this out. Daniel Bryan recalled how much the title meant to him, while the announcers noted how badly Elias and King Corbin wanted it. Mentioning AJ Styles had entered the tournament because he hasn't held the belt showed that a star from another brand, and a main eventer at that, wants the belt badly. The bad. A puzzling push. Dana Brooke has improved in the ring, but Wrestlelamia just doesn't see why the WWE is so gung-ho about pushing her, especially over better talent such as Naomi. Unless the WWE wants to push her, then send her to Raw, there's no need for Brooke to be seen as better than someone the caliber of Naomi. Corbin vs. Elias continues. The WWE drives feuds into the ground, and while Wrestlelamia doubts we've seen the last Corbin vs. Elias match, the series has already run its course. For whatever reason, Elias and Corbin don't have the chemistry where a feud is going to help either one of them. The downright ugly. Another good show for the Blue Brand, and after last week's uptick in ratings, we hope another strong outing helps build SmackDown's ratings back up. News. Earl Hebner, the Montreal Screwjob was a work. The Montreal Screwjob happened at 1997's Survivor Series, yet it's still talked about today, showing what a key moment it was in wrestling history. Recently, Earl Hebner, who refereed the infamous match between Shawn Michaels and WWF champion Bret Hart, talked to VOC Nations in the room about the events of that night. At the time, I didn't really think it was a work. Today, I think it was. Somebody had to be the gopher, somebody had to ring the bell, and to make it look official, it was me. If you look back at the tapes, Vince McMahon and Sergeant Slaughter were at that ring. Regardless of whether I rang that bell or not after the sharpshooter, somebody was going to ring it to make it official. Hebner didn't go into details on why he thinks the events at Survivor Series were a work, but he teased that he is working on a memoir that will explain his take on things. That book should be interesting, if for no other reason than to hear Hebner's take on things. Tyson Fury vs. Drew McIntyre? Whether he was just blowing off steam or looking for another big WWE payday, Tyson Fury has called out WWE champion Drew McIntyre in a video he posted to Twitter via BT Sport, along with the following message from BT Sport. Shout out to Drew McIntyre. He's been calling me out, he doesn't want to catch a left hook. He's 6'6", but he's chiseled. I want to fight him, but he's got a good body. The WWE champion is on Tyson Fury's radar. Give us this fight. Could the WWE Universe see the boxing sensation step back into a WWE ring? You can be sure Fury's still counting all the money he made for facing Braun Strowman at 2019's Crown Jewel, rumored to be anywhere in the low millions to 15 million. WWE Hall of Famer announces retirement. One half of one of the greatest tag teams in wrestling history has announced he's finished with his in-ring career. Devon Dudley announced on his podcast that he is officially retired. Devon noted his many happy years in the ring. But a 28-year career, always being on top and never taking a break regardless of the injuries or anything like that. We did it. And I think Bubba said it best during our Hall of Fame speech. We did it our way. We went out there and conquered. We became synonymous in terms of using our name when tag team wrestling comes up. We will always be put in with some of the best, and arguably, some people will say that we were the best. Devon is currently working in the WWE as a producer. Martha Hart talks WWE suing her after Owen's death. Martha Hart's quest for a day of reckoning against the WWF following the tragic death of her husband at the WWF's Over the Edge pay-per-view led to a lengthy court battle. The WWE eventually reached a settlement with her, but the road to justice was a long one, according to Owen's widow. During an appearance on Talk Is Jericho, she revealed how the WWF sued her after she filed a suit against the promotion. It was the craziest thing because they had in their contract that you could only sue them in Connecticut. I wasn't suing them about Owen's contract, it was totally different, wrongful death lawsuit. But through that process of the lawsuit, they were trying everything and anything to muddy the waters and intimidate me, so they were throwing everything at me. That wasn't the only reason Vince fired back with a lawsuit of his own, Hart explained. Then Vince sued me because he wanted the case moved to Connecticut, because in Missouri you're allowed punitive damages, but in Connecticut you're not. He was so worried, like, oh my god, there's so much negligence here that the punitive damages are just going to be like through the roof. So he sued me, which was really tough because I had to hire lawyers in Connecticut to fight that lawsuit while I was battling the wrongful death lawsuit in Kansas City. Since Owen died in Kansas City, the case was filed there, and at one point, it looked like the WWF might face criminal charges too. That didn't happen, but the case could have cost the WWF a fortune if it had lost at trial. Instead, the case was settled to Martha Hart's satisfaction. How long is The Undertaker's current WWE contract? Wrestling is known for its wild stories, and one of the wildest concerns just how long The Undertaker's current deal with the WWE is. You may recall that The Undertaker signed a new deal with the WWE last year after rumors surfaced that he was embarking on a speaking tour that would land him $100,000 per hour. Even worse for the WWE, he was set to appear at Conrad Thompson's StarCast, an event that, while not officially affiliated with AEW, features a number of AEW wrestlers and was scheduled the same week as AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. What's most incredible about this story is that Vince McMahon had apparently let The Undertaker's contract lapse. According to Meltzer, Vince, after letting him go, got so mad that he'd actually take bookings that he signed him to a new 15-year contract, so he's going nowhere ever again since he'll be almost 70 when it runs out. A story in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter suggests that Undertaker may have had financial problems that led to his new deal, as well as his frequent returns to the ring. Dave Meltzer stated, I can recall talking to people in WWF in 1997 telling me that you should see how much pain he's in and his hips and his knees are thrashed, and they figured that he had maybe a year or so left, and here we are 23 years later. A key reason for all this that's not talked about is financial issues, as even though he's made more money due to guys making more money than ever these days than all but a few in history, he has had financial issues with divorces and bad investments. Plus, he makes well into 7 figures for 1 or 2 matches. It looks like we'll see Taker in WWE for some time, and while it may not be in the ring, he'll still be an important part of his longtime home until he's 70 years old. Jim Cornette blasts Becky's baby. Notorious heat magnet Jim Cornette has apparently decided to get more heat with the internet wrestling community by going off on Becky Lynch's decision to take time off and have a baby. During his Jim Cornette experience, the Louisville Lip noted, "You can't always be on top of the wrestling business in a $1 million a year spot or more, but you can have a baby. What is she, can she be 30? Lynch is 33. Well, she's still got many more years before the easy bake oven gets shut off. She can have all those problems like a descended stomach and stretch marks and hemorrhoids and hormones problems and mood swings and all those other joys of motherhood later on when she ain't making $1 million a year. She's got plenty of time left. What would you do if your wife came home and said that instead of making $1 million next year, I'm gonna basically just be a raging for the next 9 months and then give you more to worry about around the house?" Was Cornette drunk when he said this, or did he possibly suffer a mini stroke? It's difficult to imagine anyone being this outrageous unless their thinking was impaired or they were making a desperate attempt to get some heat. AEW turned a profit in April. While AEW President Tony Khan has stated his promotion has lost millions due to the health crisis, it looks like the promotion turned a small profit in April, at least according to a report in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter. AEW did break even in April, actually making a very small profit. With television not being taped every week, it has reduced costs, although the reduction of costs is not enough to offset the loss of the live gates from what would have been 5 Wednesday night shows, but the reduction does partially offset that. The company turned a very small profit between the money from TNT for television, online merchandise money, and costs being down by doing all the taping over 2 days in Decatur, Georgia. What's noteworthy about AEW is that, unlike another major wrestling promotion, they haven't cut their staff during the ongoing pandemic. This was done with paying everyone on staff, and the talent and the production crew was paid the same as they would have for weekly shows, even though the shows were done in 2 days rather than 5 days. It's refreshing to see wrestling companies taking care of their people during a particularly hard time, and it should be noted that AEW is by no means the only company doing so. More names announced for AEW Casino Ladder Match. Last but not least, Double or Nothing's Casino Ladder Match will feature 9 AEW stars competing for an AEW World Heavyweight Championship match. Quite the incentive to win the bout. So far, AEW has announced the following stars will be in the match: Kip Sabian, Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Rey Fenix, and Scorpio Sky. Well guys, there you have it, Wrestlalamia's analysis of the 15th May Smackdown, as well as the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know. Did you watch tonight's show? If so, what did you think? Be sure to leave your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time for some more wrestling content.